me record. Okay, so you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so this demo is, or actually this call is more to talk about Liferay theme plugin generation. So just a little bit of history here. In Liferay 6.2, we used to do the theme generation from Eclipse. So the same way you create a plugin or module for integration or customization, you create a plugin or module for theme and layout. And the reason we separated them starting from version 7.0 is we knew that the people who works for themes are usually web developers, and web developers doesn't like to work in a Java environment. So we use the web tools to create themes, um, and this call I'm going to show you more details about that. So before you uh, do development for the themes, you need to read a little bit more about the documentation. So if you went to dev.liferay.com, and then I'm going to send those links to Shandi and she can forward it to you. But basically, if you went to the theme and layout templates, you have all the details here. The thing that you need to do to start developing theme, you need to install the tools. So the tools we use the Node.js, and this is one of the main tools, and we use another tool called Yeoman. If you are a web developer, you may be familiar with Yeoman and Node.js. If not, then this documentation will give you details how you can install the tools and everything. So once you install the tools, you can be ready to do what I'm going to do right now. Okay. So first I have Liferay environment running. I'm just gonna log in here as an admin. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create themes, and I'm gonna start to add my themes inside Liferay to do some customization here. Right, so I'm going to my folder where I have Liferay running, or I can go any other folder, and I'm gonna create the dev folder for myself. Okay, and I'll take that folder inside my command line. And the first step you need to do is to create the theme project. Okay, and to do creation for the theme project, to use the Yeoman tool. So what you need to write here, that's actually has to happen after you install the Yeoman tool. So you write yo and then Liferay dash theme, right? Right, and here is just gonna ask you first what you want to call your theme. Okay, so I'm gonna call it sample theme, enter, and then they're gonna tell me, okay, so you want the ID to be sample dash theme. I can press enter by default, or I can add my ID that I want. I'm just gonna keep it as it is, press enter, and then here it asks me, do you want it for Liferay version 7.1 or 7.0? Since I'm working here on 7.0, I'm just gonna make it 7.0, but 7.1 is the same way, just different libraries, so I'm gonna make it 7.0. And now the Yeoman tool is creating the theme project for me. So I'm going to have to wait a couple of minutes here until they finish creating the project for me.
Hi, Freddy, Siddharth here. So my question is like Yeoman creates a skeleton project, right? So when we start off with the Liferay Yeoman project, so is it like there are already some rules included into that project altogether
Yeah. So
when we are trying?
once you install the Yeoman project, you're going to install the Liferay theme plugin, and everything will be installed for you. So you just need to write yo Liferay dash theme, and then that would call the project library that you installed, and then we'll install everything for you. So you don't need to deal with for the library or anything. Right? To answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing here is telling me what is the path of your application server, right? I don't really need to give it if I'm just gonna develop the plugin and deploy it in Liferay, but just in development environments, you don't need to do this manually. So anytime you do a change in your development environment, you need it to be deployed in Liferay. So I'm gonna go to my server environment and then get the path of my Tomcat. Uh, okay, and just give it here. Okay, and now it's asking me what's the URL for your server. That's the default URL, and that's what is the URL for my server here. So I'm gonna keep it the same. Press enter, and now Liferay project is created for me. So if I went actually here, you can see there is a sample theme project, right? And the first thing I need to do is after I create the project, I need to build it one time. To do this, we use a tool called Gulp. So Gulp is also one of the tools you need to install, and that's all in the documentation. So this documentation would tell you what you need to install exactly. So one of the steps, you're gonna install Gulp here. And then you can say Gulp build, and that would build a file for me. So you need to do it one time once you create the theme. Okay, so now once you create the theme, let's see how the project looks like. So I'm going to go to my file. Where's the dev? Here we go. So dev folder, and then here I have my themes. So first, under the dist file, anytime you gonna build your project, this is the war plugin file that you can have it for your theme, and you can place it in any server. So anytime you build it, Liferay will create the war file for you. Okay. The second thing is Liferay actually works in a way that you add the code to override the current theme. Okay, so by default, the current theme that Liferay uses is that default theme, which is let me actually log in and show it to you. 1 second here. It's just this is the first time to run this bundle on my laptop, so sometimes it takes time to compile the GSPs. And again, this is always just has to happen the first time you're on the server, but and that's it. Okay, so let me go to the site that I need. Actually, I don't need that. I'm gonna just go with the URL. Okay, so I'm gonna just change the theme of that site to the default one so you guys can see how it looks like. Right, so just go into the look and feel, and then I'm gonna choose another theme for this page. So you can see those are all themes that I developed them. So I'm gonna use the classic one so you guys see what you override once you create. So there is the classic theme, which is what comes with Liferay. Actually gonna remove all the code that I have here. Let me just after. Okay, so let me just remove the, so next time, as you can see, next time I go to the configuration tab, it doesn't take that long time. I just develop the, I just need to compile the GSP first time, right? So save. Okay, so this is the default theme, right? This is what comes out of the box with Liferay, and I add my plugin on the top of it. When you do your code, you basically want to override the current theme, right? So how to do this? Let's see. So basically, Liferay has 3 levels of themes, and all the code of the themes is included inside your project. And what you need to do, you override the file you need inside the source folder, right? So under node modules, you're gonna have themes like Liferay classic theme, Liferay styled theme, Liferay unstyled theme. So basically, when Liferay developed the classic theme, it starts with the code of the unstyled, and then on the top of it, they add the code of styled, and then on the top of the code of styled, they add the classic code. And the classic code is what you guys see here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the code of the classic theme and start editing it, and you guys can see how you can create your own theme from that, right? So I'm going to copy the code, the CSS, images, JS, template file, everything. And any code I want to override, I need to add that code under the source folder. Okay, so now I have, this is the classic theme, right? So I didn't change anything. This is actually the classic theme. So what I need to do is just deploy it one time so you guys can see how that looks like, and then I'm going to start editing that code, right? So I'm going inside my environment here. I'm gonna do gulp deploy. Okay, and you can see here on the server, the sample.dash theme.war start to get deployed. And now it's actually got deployed and it's ready to be used. Okay, so you can see here it's available to be used. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to,
Just,
yeah,
yeah. Uh, Yeah. So when you run gulp deploy, which code does it deploy? Does it deploy the code you just copied and pasted, or the one from the node modules?
no, I deploy that code only because this is just helper in your project. Anything you want to deploy is under the source folder. So that's why I
Okay.
copied and added here, because that's the code that you deploy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna just change this to use my new theme. And then I have my theme here. It's called sample themes, should be somewhere here. Or sample. Let me just refresh the page. Okay.
It was right under your classic.
Oh, here you go. You're right. Thank you. Okay, so I have, yeah, so I have the sample theme here deployed, and then I click save. Now just applying the code for the sample theme on my site. Right, so that's the code of the sample theme that I have, and you guys can start from here. So let's say you want to start changing the length of the logo, and you want to place the logo somewhere else. So let's just do this. So inside your theme, you have two things. You have the templates, which is control the HTML structure. It's written by FreeMarker. And you have the CSS file, which is control the colors and everything else, right? So for the templates, you have different files to edit here. So this is just the file that overwrite to create the classic theme. But if you look to a style project, for example, you can see there is a lot of files you can edit here. Actually, the unstyled one, I'm sorry. So you can see every part in Liferay. So you have Portal Normal, which is what you can see on the page here. You have the Portal pop-up, so that's control the structure of any pop-up window. You have the navigation, which is just the structure for this navigation menus. So you have file for every part inside Liferay. Okay, so going back here to my code, the only code that I override is the navigation portal normal and portlets. So this is just controlling the portlet view, and the portal normal, which is the portal itself, and then the navigation is just the navigation here, right? So let's say I'm going inside the portal normal. Sorry. And that's basically the code that you can see here. It's written by FreeMarker. You can see here, for example, this is the logo, right? So let's say I want to put the logo after the navigation, for example. So I'm going to just copy the logo code, and then I'm going to go to the navigation here, and I will add it here. And let's say I don't want to make the width to be 64. I want to make it larger. So let's say 120. Okay, so make it double. Sorry. Right? And now I'm ready to start testing this code. So I'm clicking save. You have some development options that whenever you just click save, you're going to see your code online. I didn't enable this development option, so that's why I need to do it manually. But in your development, you can actually enable development options. So anytime you save a code, it will be reflected on your site. So I'm just going to do this step manually, but in your development environment, you don't need to do it manually here. So I'm going to deploy the code again. Right, and now that code is getting deployed. Okay, and then I'm gonna just refresh my browser. Okay, so you can see here the logo now is under the navigation, and it's actually have bigger width. So I was able to do some HTML customization here. Let's say I want to customize some CSS files. So I usually like to use the Firefox web developer tools, but you can actually use the Chrome or whatever any other web tools you guys want. So I can come here and say, I want to know what control in Liferay can change the width and can change the colors, right? So I know that everything here is under content. So the content is everything on the body of my portals, and then I have on the top here, there is the header. Sorry. Let me do that here. Okay. So I have, there is the banner and there is the content. So let me say I want to change the width of the content and I want to add background color here, right? So I can see here, this is the CSS file that controls that. So I can come here and say I don't want to have maximum width, and I don't want to have any padding on the right or left. Okay, and now I need to add background color for my body of the portal to be red, for example. So I'm going to test this background color red. Okay, right. So I guess that looks good to me. I don't want it to be for the whole site, so I may need to add that background line inside the content div. So let's see how we can do this. So I'm going to copy my new code. Right, I'm going to go to my files here. So inside the CSS folder, you have a CSS file that control everything in Liferay, right? And if I went to the unstyled project, you may actually see a lot of CSS files that you can override. Let me go to the unstyled project. So you have a CSS file for everything, right? So for variables, custom, imports, layout, so everything in Liferay navigation, the portal itself, everything in Liferay has a CSS file. Anytime you want to override a CSS file, you need to copy that file and add it inside the custom portal here, right? So add it inside that file. But if you don't want to custom each file, you can simply custom the custom.scss file. And the reason for that, this is the last file get loaded in Liferay, which means that even if you custom any other file, this file will take a place because it's the last one get loaded. So you can add your customization inside that file. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to open the custom.scss file. Sorry. Just go all the way down. And I have my CSS file that I want to add here, right? And now I don't want to add the background inside this folder. I'm going to add it inside my content. So because I want the upper part of the page only to be red. So I'm going to look for the content div and add my background color. Now I'm ready to start testing this, right? So I'm going to deploy it. Okay, and make sure it's got deployed. Okay, now if I went to my page and just hit refresh, you can see now my bottom part only became red, and now the page is actually taking the whole browser. There is no padding on the left or the right, so I was able to change um, the 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 CSS part, right? So anytime I want to edit a file, so let's say there is a uh, there is an HTML or a free marker site that I want to edit it and overwrite some values. Basically, what you need to do, you need to copy that specific file. So you go um, to the template folder, and you can say, for example, I want to edit the initial variables. So you copy that file and you paste it here, right? And now you can start editing that file. So if you want to edit any variable or whatever, you can edit it here and that would take an effect. So any code you want to override from the classic theme, you add it here, you add your code, you deploy it, and then after you do that, your edited code will take an effect over the classic theme there. So this is just a very overview about how you can create theme. Of course, there is a lot of details for how to create variables, everything that's covered in the documentation, but this is kind of an overview. One last thing I want to mention here is that let's say you have the theme, you're ready to deploy it in another server now. After you do the deploy, you have the theme war is ready, so you can just copy that war and edit inside any server you want. So if I went to my server that is running now, you go to the deploy folder and you paste that war file. So once you do this war file will get deployed. And once that war file is deployed, now you're going to have that war file theme is ready so you can pick it from for your pages and so on. Any question?
Yeah, hi, Siddharth here. Like, I just one question. Like, say for instance, you have a couple of CSS, custom CSS, which you have built in for a particular module, and you want to reuse it across a couple of modules. So, do we have any way so that we can leverage theme concept, wherein we can add our custom CSS, which can be reused across modules?
Yes. So let's say anytime you add inside your, okay, let me show you that here. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So anytime you add your custom CSS inside here, that actually will be visible with all modules. So if I add a class inside the custom.css file here, so I create a new class and I add my code here, that would be visible by all modules whenever you use that theme, right? So this one way of doing it. The other way also, you can create your own custom SCSS file, and then there is main.css. I need to override it. It's not here. Let me just look for it. Not sure if I'm gonna. Where is it? Which one? It's not this one. Nope. Yeah, here you go. So the main.scss. So you can see here on the main.scss file, the last one get loaded is the custom. But you can actually create your own SCSS file with some custom classes for your modules. And then you can upload it the last one here so that this is customization for Liferay, and then you can have a class here that get added for customization for your modules here. So what you need to do is you need to copy this file, and then you need to add this file inside your custom code here. And now you can start editing that file and creating your SCSS files. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks. And something of that sort do we have for the JS as well?
Yeah, the GSS?
For the JavaScript files?
Yes, so JavaScript is the same thing. You have a main JavaScript, which has the custom code that I added here. Sorry.
Okay.
Me. Okay, so that's the one that there is only one JavaScript code here, but you can add your own JavaScript code, or you can create your own GS file. And any GS file you created here, it can be referred inside your modules using a URL. So you can add a script, the URL for your GS that you deployed here, and it will be referred by all modules. I actually, if you're gonna use Angular or React, people usually add the library of React and Angular inside the theme, and then refer to this library inside their modules.
Exactly. That is something which we were planning. So that's the reason I have that question.
Yeah, definitely you can do that. Add React or add your Angular inside the theme, and then you can refer it inside your module. You don't need to repeat it inside each module there.
Okay. And say, for instance, we have a couple of images, and that goes in the images folder, similar to CSS and JS, right?
That's correct. Yes. So those the images you refer there. And by the way, those are the two default images. For example, so the screenshot. This is the screenshot for your theme. That's actually whenever you customize your theme. So this image, it's what's here. So if you change this image to anything, it's going to reflect it here. So there is thumbnails for the theme, so you can create a smaller version of it. Also, if you want to customize the top parts image here, you can. So everything is customizable. If you want to create your own image and you want to refer it inside any of the theme, you can. So that's that part. It's where you add your themes logo and images logo and everything. Any other question?
Nothing as of now. Thanks a lot. Yeah. If we
No.
have any, we'll surely.
Okay, yes, please. I'm actually gonna compile this recording after we hang up, and I'll send it to Shanti, and then Shanti can send it to all of you if you guys wanna review it. I highly recommend to take a look on those theme documentation before you guys start, especially this one because has the installation structures.
Absolutely. Hey, and Sadie, if you don't mind, would it be okay for you to maybe zip up your one of your 7.0 projects, and send it just so we can kind of look at the structure and the way things are laid out. Would it be all
Definitely,
right?
definitely. Yeah, no problem. I actually gonna, so I have this project that I actually always use. Is the default one. I'm gonna zip that code and then send it to you. You guys can take a look on it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem, no problem.
Yeah, Freddy, just one more thing. We were looking into the modules part of it. We have a question. For instance, we changed the JS and all. What happened was it wasn't reflecting in the Liferay UI, the portal UI, and for that we had to manually delete the module and clear up browser cache and all, and things like that had to be done. You might have already received an email around it. So if you have any idea, anyway, we can ensure that whatever we deploy gets force deployed on the server, irrespective of there is cache or something else. Like if you have anything around that.
No, I mean I got an email from Shanti, but was it for another issue? So I'm sorry, I didn't get that issue. So what's going on? I just
Okay,
didn't
so
get the problem.
essentially, I think it was probably the second or third bullet point in the document, Freddy. Essentially, what the team is saying is when they make changes to some of the JavaScript, it's not updating the module. They're having to manually delete the module and redeploy for it to show up.
So we
I
are
mean,
were having, yeah, Freddy, we were having issues in publishing those modules within the Tom server that we placed in the IDE.
yeah, I saw
So
that
it was
error, and if you guys remember in the last call, you have to create a project inside the workspace before you create the module. The way I see it, you guys create a workspace, and then inside the workspace you create the module. This is not gonna work. So you need first to create a project. And I actually, in the last video that for the last session, it has that step. You create a workspace. Inside the workspace, you create a project. And then inside the project, you create the modules. So if you create a modules inside the workspace, it's not going to work. So this is a step I actually, it's inside the previous recording that Shanti forwarded to you guys.
That works. Thank you.
No problem. And for the other one, the JavaScript part, I'm gonna take a look on that. But basically, if you guys think that the code doesn't change, the reason for that is JavaScript is always cached by any browser. So basically, if you press F5, it would actually just refresh your code. That's usually with JavaScript what you need to do. Just to refresh the caching, just press F5, and that would refresh the browser caching and get the new code. From it should not that unless you're not deploying the application correctly, that shouldn't happen. Just press F5, that will refresh the code on your browser. But if you guys were doing it with the way that you sent to me over the email, that's not going to work at all with anything because you're creating a module inside a workspace, not inside a project.
Yeah, Freddy, what we tried is just creating a module, packaging it in a jar, and then placing it in the deploy folder.
That's
So the
how you did the packaging for the jar. You cannot just do a normal packaging there.
okay,
So inside also the video, you're gonna see that anytime you run the Gradle task create the jar for you. So it's inside the folder where you can find the jar file, and you can copy that jar file and install copy it inside the servers. If you package it just normal jars, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, we did actually through Maven. And when we are trying to drag and drop and into to the server, it is giving us error and not.
The reason is you guys creating the modules inside the workspace, not inside the project. This you guys missed that step. You need to create a project first inside the workspace, and then inside that. Okay, actually, let me open my developer Eclipse environment. Right, so I'm already having my Eclipse environment, so I'm going to just use the same. Okay, I'm going to create a new one. Just creating a new one or using an existing one. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to create a new workspace. Okay, so I'm creating a new workspace, so everything will be blank, right? And then first, once you are in a workspace, you cannot just create a module here. You need to create a project first. So you need to create Liferay workspace project first. And then test, I'm going to name it test project.
Yeah, Freddy, we have tried this also.
Okay, I'm just gonna do the steps now so you guys can see it. I don't know what exactly happening on your side because it shouldn't be any problem. So now you have the project running. What you guys sent to me, it's just module outside. It's not inside the project. So if I come here and create a module, right? So you guys can have the module here, and that's the module you can add it to your server. Let me just link my environment to the current server here. Okay. So that's it. That's the test module. You can just drag and drop.
Okay, Freddy, we'll try once again and
Yeah.
and
So that's basically how we do it. You
we
have the
did the
test module here.
when we are trying, that is the test module is giving an error. Okay, we'll try once again and what is
Yeah, it shouldn't give you any error if you did this because I mean
actually with the thing with Maven one.
I'm sorry.
No, we did the same steps, follow the same steps, but getting errors. And we did just instead of Gradle, we have used the Maven one. Uh,
Okay, so try it first with Gradle and see if you guys gonna get error or not. And then once you make it work with Gradle, you can move to Maven. Um, and then I sent to Shanti the documentation for Maven, so you guys can follow that if you want to use Maven for creating your
yeah, sure. Uh,
yeah. So now that project is
document.
deployed,
Yeah,
you can test it from anywhere.
yeah.
And then anytime, so let's say, and this is also an important step here. I want to make sure it got deployed first. Yeah, it's here, so you can deploy the file. So anytime you want to get the jar for this project, you basically go to the test build, and then what you need to do is you run the build task. So you run that task, and then when you go to the folder of this project, so if I went back to my folder here, can't remember where I put it. Where's the project? One second. So it's okay. So under User Studio, tests. It's not this one. Okay, it's here. So that's the project. when you open the project itself, under, you remember which one?
I think it is under Gradle.
Yeah, here you go. So you have the build, and then you have the library. This is the jar file that you need to copy to server. So let Liferay create that jar for you. You don't need to create by yourself.
Yeah, in this way it is running, but it's not running from the Eclipse one. Okay, we'll try this once again, and
All right.
let's see what.
Right, no problem.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. So I'll send this recording to Shani, and let me know if you have any more questions.
Okay, thank you so much. We really appreciate your flexibility on this.
No problem, no problem. And yeah, let me know if anything. I'm here to help, and hopefully you guys have a good day.
Thanks, Heidi. You
Thank you.
too.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Mhm.